This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right? Well, the Lord is the God in this gate. And to the important business for the people of the village of Owego. Grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding.
Amen.
So what I'll do is I'll let Rusty kind of drive the show there in person, and then I'll be here online.
Okay. So first order of business is public comment. Mike?
Not with Paul.
It's not. That's Paul. Shall we do department heads next? Let's do it. You're here. Let's do it.
Okay, so far this month we've had 82 calls. We've also gone through the interview process with 2 candidates for paid per diem. And Ron and I met with them, both of them, and we would like to bring them on board. I have that information for you. First of all, let me find Nicholas Delaney. He is the one that was from Long Island. He has completed the paperwork for the county and paid the $15 fee. It just has through their powers to be yet to have the rest of the paperwork that you're gonna need on your side. So this would be contingent on that, as well as meeting with Dr. Raftis, who's our medical director, to do the final approval. He doesn't see any problems at this point, but he hasn't, his mother passed away here recently, so he's been dealing with that. So first I would like to bring forward Nicholas.
Will you spell his last name, please?
It definitely is not spelled the way he had made, I had to pronounce it. It's C-Z-E.
C-Z-E.
L-A-T-K-A.
It's not. Love it, man. I have a question as you're doing this, since he's gonna be a paid per diem person, does he also become a part of the regular force? I don't know how that.
The insurance and all that?
No, I didn't benefits. I meant how we normally put people on the volunteer squad. It's not volunteers, it's paid per diem, so I wonder how we do go about that.
He's gonna work Monday through Friday,
Well, he'll,
or, in the daytime hours.
yes.
He will,
I get that. Mike, you understand what I'm not getting quite clearly, because he's going to be paid per diem, is he then part of that volunteer organization group? How does it work?
No.
No, the nonprofit. Yeah, he'd be a village employee, like Sonia.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right.
And
How much are you paying?
I really hate putting this over the air because it's just not fair.
Well, it's
All right, 25. For both.
So $25 an hour, and how much do we're just hoping he'll work as much as possible. Like
Yes,
that.
with him, he is a student for being a doctor. Okay, so he's doing clinical time. He'll be here in our area, living on, I believe it's Front Street, starting in April. So he's got a 3-month where he can get quite a bit. And then it's gonna be sporadic after that because of doing his clinical time. But the knowledge is, of course, if you're home, you hear the H and they call out during the day, if he can make it, they'll come and get paid for the time. It's just like any other per day. Very, very knowledgeable guy. He's got over 8,700 calls. So he's definitely experienced.
So I have another quick question. When we do the per diem, guys, do we have a maximum number of hours that we do? I mean, I know we're trying to fill in this, but are we,
Well, we're not going to exceed that with these guys.
so they're not going to do it anyway, but I'm just curious.
I think it's like 36 a week is considered per diem, I think, on that.
Yeah, 36 hours. I guess what I'm getting at is would we normally have 2 EMTs that work 40 hours a week. Would we be getting into something where we're going to have our paid EMT standard full-time 4 hours a week, and these guys might be putting in, put 40 together, 60, 70, 80, 90?
No.
We're just trying to get the other 40 if we can.
You know, look, we're not going to hit that mark by any means. Definitely not. But I figure this is at least it gives us something until we can find a full-time.
But I think one of the points Rusty might be dancing around is, he is a per diem, which means we don't want him to work so many hours that it qualifies.
Oh, no, that's not
for
gonna be-
benefits or anything like that.
We don't want to do that, but I'm just wondering if we ended up getting in a different context, if we ended up getting 2, 3, 4 per diem people, and we ended up putting, each one worked 20 or 30 hours, now we'd be suddenly having 150 hours of paid person. That's the kind of thing.
Okay, well, they're not going to be working together and so on.
Yep.
Okay, you'll have
We want to be
one
on,
or one or the other.
so we'll never get more than
Correct.
what I'm concerned.
And let's get logical. If they're on and it's 36 hours that they're on for that week and you get that extra bang out call and it runs them into overtime, that doesn't make them full-time. It's just giving them, that sets that once in a blue moon, God, it can happen. But it's not going to be that.
Yeah, that was not, I hope everyone said that, was not concerned that they become full-time, it was just like concerned.
And I know,
Suddenly becoming having.
I know he looks like a puppy in this picture, but he's 25. Okay.
Well, let me just ask, doesn't it take over a certain number of months before you actually become a full-time?
Well, they're not hiring someone.
They have to be rehired. as full-time.
Yeah.
They can't-
Right, after a certain period of time?
Yeah, but none of these guys.
You might be thinking of like a probationary period for somebody, is that what you're thinking? That, because there's a distinction between, like, we don't think we hire a person for a temporary period of time before making full-time, but we hire people, probationary employees, who after they fill that probationary time period become permanent employees, but they're full-time throughout. Yeah.
Mike, anything?
Not really. I think it's good. We need part-time people at least to help fill it.
I believe you were okay with it as well as you were as well, right?
I don't know if it's for them.
You're like, you like so
Yeah, they're still
bad.
upstanding, very educated, very motivated.
So we don't have to put any civil service, we're not gonna do that, we just, all we have to do is approve them. The first gentleman that we're gonna do is hiring him as a per diem, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But nothing will be in effect until we get the documentation. So
Contingent.
that needs to be part of the motion, contingents with.
Someone would like to make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we hire Nicholas Jalaska, thank you, at $25 per hour at a per diem rate.
Contingent on.
On the civil service completion.
Right, and he will be available to start on April the 5th.
Contingent on all-
completion of-
Yes.
Right.
All conditions from county section.
Correct.
Yes, contingent on it.
Is that good? Second,
Second, that.
discussion time? Let's vote. Charles?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes,
Ron?
Yes.
Chair, yes, Mayor? I'm sorry, forgot about you, Laura.
Yes.
Ed's here too.
Ed, I'm sorry, Ed. Did you hear?
I'm
the
here,
vote, Ed?
and yeah, I'm here and I vote yes.
Thank you, and Mayor,
And yes from me.
motion carried. The other candidate,
What was it, what day is he start?
he can start.
We can start.
April the 5th.
And Yeah, he's the only one that's contingent. Next one is Matthew Soden,
I just sold
Sodon. I've known this gentleman quite a long, and I used to be the bus driver for Butters. He is the gentleman I told you, a couple months ago, that he's a female medic as well. So that means that, if he gets contracted out, for FEMA, that he would be gone a certain amount of time and then would be back again. His availability is quite broad. Right now, he's, per diem with, Owego as well. But his availability is really quite good, and it looks like Mondays is a good fit for him, so that'll help us on in for not hitting.
So does he have all that, the county?
Oh, he's all through the
He's all
county.
that.
Yep, he's already had all that. He's gone through it.
And he is also studying to be a nurse.
Yes, yes.
$25 an hour also. is
Yes.
recommendation?
Yes.
Recommendation.
Yes, I recommend Matthew Soden as a per diem rate of $25 per hour. He can start immediately.
Well, this is the county.
Okay, a couple of weeks. Well,
Discussion? Charles?
Yes.
Brandon?
yes.
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, Mayor?
And yes,
Carried. Back to you, Rob.
Okay, got one more.
One more person. Okay.
Cassidy McFadden, she is currently, vessel, she is not a crew chief yet. At this point, she's just a driver with us. She is an EMT certified. She has ridden with us. And they're here. So I'd like to bring her as EMT basic.
McFadden Cassidy, what's the first name?
Cassidy, CASSIDY. And then.
Yep.
With.
Did you guys?
She's. No, that's not very well.
Oh, this is volunteer. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Did you say? Yes, this is not the pay for the.
This is not.
This is part of the volunteer squad. Fran, motion?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion we Cassidy McFadden as volunteer EMT to the EMS squad.
Second.
Any discussion for any discussion on this squad? That's what. That's. I know. All right.
Yes.
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 Laura.
Yes.
Vote, Laura.
Can you hear me?
Rapid connected now.
And the sauce you made is fantastic.
You can hear. Can I do this for the? Just say yes.
What do you think?
They can also abstain. in my mind.
If somebody can hear me, I'm bad.
Went further than the outside.
Looks like a deer in the headlights.
How are we gonna get a hold of these people? So we're gonna call them.
I'll make lots of fire next time.
Can you guys hear us?
So we had. Yes, yes, yes. And I vote yes. Motion.
Or I just.
Oh, we got it.
Oh,
You're back. Okay, well, you're not-
There's a lot of interference.
You just got it somehow for a few minutes where if you hear the motion for the, new person,
Laura said yes.
Laura, did you hear the motion for the new person?
I voted yes for Cassidy McFadden to be a volunteer squad EMT.
Yeah, you guys want your. All right. All right, hanging up.
Laura, can you hear us?
I don't know about Laura. I don't know about Laura, but I can hear about every third word.
Hear us?
I can hear about every third word.
Can you hear
There's a
us?
tremendous amount of interference.
No. All right, we're gonna do it.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So they might only Mike that can hear you. Just.
Okay.
Send if they vote, if they don't say anything, mark it as.
So Mike, do you vote yes on?
I voted yes.
Laura says.
Voted yes. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
And did you vote?
I would vote yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, Mike?
I vote yes too.
Can you hear me?
Proceed.
So my, Laura, you voted late. You got it.
Frozen. Yeah.
Oh, you voted.
Hey.
Yeah.
You're trying.
Okay, we're voting,
Now.
we're voting on Cassidy McFadden as the volunteer EMT.
Got a mic?
Okay.
Can she see us?
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That-
Motion carried. Motion carried.
okay, we're back in the, I'm hanging up my.
So
Yes.
if we're having computer issues, I think just ask for the motion, have the second, to vote like you would here, offer them the opportunity if they don't respond, because they can't hear us, that's too often.
Okay, you mark.
We're gonna go back a ways.
Like here.
Last year you had, offered the $2,000 minimum.
Correct.
And we never submitted anything. I decided, not knowing that, I have a check for that. I don't know what we want to do with that last year.
This is okay.
Yes, last year.
The part of
We paid for out of our own.
the nonprofit fund or out
Yes,
of?
yes,
Okay, so we're going to authorize that to be paid out of the,
general last year.
well, out of the EMS budget, but not out of the nonprofit. So we allow you to get EMS line for last year.
So, yeah,
Whenever
we
they-
haven't done anything yet for that.
Well, but I think what where Fran's kind of going is the banquet happened this fiscal year. It might have occurred in 2021, but it was this fiscal year, the next fiscal year begins.
It happened in September 21st, 2020.
Right, if the upcoming banquet is also in September or October or November, then there is not two banquets in this fiscal year.
Yeah.
So you'd be fine using this fiscal year's.
That's not a problem. The problem is they've already paid for this last banquet out of the private funds, and so they need to be reimbursed for that from the EMS line.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the bill is budgeted for it.
Okay.
This
Well-
fiscal year it occurred this fiscal year.
Okay. Well, it's not the full 2,000 because the way it was broken down, it would have been way over. So I'm just doing what it costs for the gentleman to come and do all that stuff.
Okay, so the check was written by your
Yeah.
folks, and you've got that number here.
I do, I have everything.
Good, so what we're gonna do is Bradley's going to, I assume, Bradley's going to get a check to the EMS nonprofit from the village, it'll come out of the line item of the EMS for this budget. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need any action to do that? We're just doing it.
I think you're already sort of done.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, what the discretionary dollar amount?
Up to 2,000, this is 1,800.
So we're just gonna pay the 1,800.
Yeah.
And then we have another 2,000 coming for your next bank, whatever you have. Okay,
I think, yeah, I'll make it.
okay, she's gonna do that.
1,825.
Okay, fine, sure, yeah.
One more little tidgy. I can't seem to get the medics reports. And yet, the village office thought it was necessary to attach a letter that was sent to them on a medics bill and an email to the village board members. Number one, that was totally uncool. It doesn't give me a chance to get that letter so that I can call these people, find out what exactly happened, and address the situation. It was brought to the board members in a way that I did not feel was orthodox, quite frankly. I can't even get a medic's report, but I can get a complaint letter attached to a medic's response. So to me, that didn't sound well. I thought I've been being very compliant with everybody and working with things, but the normal thing is if there's a complaint, it comes to me directly, and then I handle it. If I can't handle it, then it goes through. And as it turned out, it technically was not even a complaint. And when I called the person themselves and to find out what had happened, but I just didn't, it didn't set right with me trying to make us look bad, because we don't do bad work, you know, we do our very best to do good nation.
All right, so I would recommend that you and the mayor, because he's the one that runs this and he's not here right now, and Rodney, the three of you get together about this particular thing. The board really has no, it's all fine, but it's the mayor's thing, so complaint.
So is getting minutes reports that I can't get. It's very frustrating, very frustrating.
But once again, I'm not trying to shut you up, I'm just saying complaint noted, but we're gonna need to do this through the mayor because he's the person that does this stuff, and through Rodney. So once again, you've told us, but we can't do anything about that now.
And I haven't heard anything from you about Tyler this center with us. Are we set for anything for that?
We should have a conversation offline.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd just like to comment on the personnel issues. I'm just like any other personnel problems, that it's handled in executive session, not in a forum where public might.
Yeah, so we're not doing that, you're doing it with the mayor. Okay,
I'm done.
okay, all set for now? For now, okay, do we have a report from Tracy?
Before we switch off from the EMS, I just want to,
Oh, sorry, yes.
could you please relay to the team that showed up to the high school today for that call?
Uh-huh.
Thank you, that was my son.
Was
He
it?
did an excellent job of putting his knee back into place.
Is he okay?
And yeah, he's fine. He was a trooper. That's their words. They said he's a trooper. He didn't.
Those are kind of fun to do.
So you got his first ambulance ride, and that was pretty cool. So he enjoyed all that. So this once again, thank you, quick response. And this shows how much EMS is very appreciated. Just want that on record. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have a question. I thought about this last week. We had given permission to relieve money for this, well, next year's, but banquet.
Uh-huh.
Is that going to be only the cost of food increasing, or should we revisit that amount?
Quite frankly, we're happy with anything. You know, we're, you know, it was probably almost, it was like $700 more than what that check was for the whole thing to be done. But
So Ron, to your point though, presumably the next thing will occur in the next fiscal year.
Right.
So when
Yeah.
you're budgeting for that, you
Yeah.
can, you know,
who's to know? Everything's going up, so we just don't.
No.
Yeah, but in the May budget is working on, we should probably.
If it comes down later on, we
Yeah.
can get back.
Hopefully enjoy chicken because we're going to afford steak.
Oh, we can try, baby.
Any more questions for the event? Yeah. That one. I have not heard from the fire chief. I don't have anything from him. Mike, can you hear me?
No, I have not.
Nothing from the fire chief, okay. Anything from Tracy?
It's the DPW report.
No. DPW or, so, okay, so we have no reports from any of those.
Well, we did get an email message from May.
I read it, let's talk about that now.
Okay, we need to go to executive session with
We
it.
have to do that off.
Okay.
I've read the-
You want to say something? You read what?
I've read the DPW report.
Okay. Any questions or anything on that, or you're fine with that for now? This is one from May?
No, it's just a report to Tracy,
Okay.
about what the crew has done, that deer and stuff.
Well, since we don't have the superintendent here, there's not much to discuss about that at this moment, I guess. And take it to the mayor if you have something that of interest for yourself on that, okay? Police. The police chief would like us to raise the salary of the SRO at the school, school resource officer, Waslin, from, I think it's 30 or 32 now. He would like us to raise that $3,000. Mike, do you know if the school passed the new contract with us?
Yeah, he just texted me that they did.
They did, okay, so the school has raised their contract with us from 45,000 to 48,000. And our school resource officer is getting way less than anybody else anywhere gets. And so the chief would like to have that $3,000 raise in the contract, raised to the, added to the salary of the school resource officer. That being said, I'm going to make a motion that we, Nate, you gotta. I don't believe that our SRO, no, he's not our union, our SRO.
He's not considered one of the retired officers covered by the MOU.
He's not at MOU and he's not in the record. All right. That being said, I would like to make a motion that we raise the salary of the school resource officer, $3,000.
I'll second.
Next paycheck. Whenever you put the next
Yeah,
time.
so his annual salary increasing by $3,000.
Yes. At the next period.
So what would your total salary be?
More.
At 3,000 more, because I remember it was 32 or 30,000 or 32, I couldn't remember exact, so whichever it is, it's going to be 3,000 more than, I'm sorry that I don't have it, but we think it might be 32 and it'll go to 35. But the motion is that we raise it $3,000 more than this now, just to cover either one of those things.
Oh, I think.
Is there a second for that motion? Okay, now the discussion. I'm sorry.
Okay, how many hours a week does that resource officer work?
It was in the contract last month, 2 weeks ago. How many hours they work.
It's 40 for the contract, isn't it?
I think it might be.
40 hours a week?
I think it might be. I said, Mike, do you know off the top of your head?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
honestly,
I know he's there in the morning and the afternoon when I drop my kid off and pick him up. I don't know if they do basketball games and that kind of thing too.
So that's another piece of information that I don't have this very moment for you. But we don't pay it by the hour. We do pay it by the salary.
I know in Binghamton, it was 7:30 to 3:30 was their set, but of course that's the schools.
Right. So the current salary is how much?
30 or 32.
And that's what it is, we only work in that.
And we're gonna raise it $1,000, which is the amount that we raised the contract from them.
Just covered by the school contract.
The school pays for that. No,
Well, the school, you say the school pays for
the
this?
school pays us $48,000.
Yeah,
Oh,
and if the,
We
if the
then
school
pay
is,
the resource officer. Go ahead, Ed.
and if the school is, is subsidizing this, I don't see why we wouldn't, follow their recommendation, so to speak.
Yes.
Right.
So I think I explained this a little bit last meeting, but just a real quick, the school pays a certain amount, we pay him a certain amount, which is less than the school pays us, and that takes, the rest of that takes up car, training uniforms, things like that. So he doesn't get all the money the school pays. Okay,
Gotcha.
anybody else?
Hey,
Have
Rusty,
thoughts? Now's the time. Yeah.
will, and if we don't know the exact amount, we don't know, but will this cause him to need a waiver?
I don't think that's the case on the school resource officer. I don't think, because I don't think that there was a number, if you're remembering something along those lines, it's not more hours. If it's,
Yeah, I know that's a certain amount a year, right? 30,000.
30,000. So
is the amount before you need a waiver?
where you need it to, I would assume the chief thought of that.
Yeah, he is a retiree, but he's been our SRO for 3 or 4 years now, hasn't he? 2 or 3 years, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the waiver is
yeah.
for the state retirement system.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But we would think we would have seen this, run into this snag already.
You have to earn over a certain dollar to kick in the waiver.
Only if he's making 32,000. If he's making 30,000, that is the limit.
Right. I just wouldn't want this $2,000 to kick in the limit.
Well,
We do this contingent upon.
I think if there's a question about it, go back to the police chief and the clerk's office and find out more information instead of making some goofy contingent motion to give him a raise unless it moves him over the retirement threshold.
Or give me a couple minutes, I'll text the chief.
I think we should wait till the next board meeting if we don't have all the facts.
okay, Mike, we'll talk to the chief and find out what he knows about waiver and find out what Leslie knows about waiver and address it then.
Okay, I'll send him a message too, because he's better responding.
Okay, so I withdraw the motion. Who seconded? Withdraw the second. Okay.
I'll withdraw a second.
Okay. That's all we have from the police. So that should be, unless somebody else has anything else about department head reports, that should be all the department head. Okay. In our new wonderful agenda here, next on our agenda is to set a public hearing for the law that we had, which is whatever the number is now, that we had proposed previously about changing the code from about meetings to being in the code and to the board deciding by resolution. We still have that same law written. Still written. So would someone like to make a motion that we set a public hearing, say next meeting?
I'll make that motion since it would affect me being at the board meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, everybody understands what we're doing there? Any discussion on the public hearing for the law that we had a public hearing about 2 months ago about? Yep. Brian, want to say something?
I guess I have a question. The same exact law that, the language that was proposed changes, or?
Yeah, it's the same language, which was that we changed the code from the code saying that the meetings had to be on the first and third Mondays, et cetera, and changed the code to read, and I'm paraphrasing now, that it says that the village will set by resolution when the meetings will be. Doesn't say when they'll be, it says that the village will set it by resolution rather than it being in our law and our code.
So back at that time, I pointed out that like we moved the law that set when meetings to add this law to. So
You're breaking up and we're only hearing every other word. We didn't get that. You're breaking up, we're not getting your words.
Could you repeat what you said?
okay, well, so back when we addressed this, it kind of some information like the law is replacing what they to have this come in.
Laura, I'm really sorry. Whatever's going on with the IT, the computer, we cannot hear what you're saying. Sorry. Does anybody else have anything to say about the sending? Right.
We can't have it next meeting because we don't have enough time to publish it. Today's Tuesday, that's the date. So you can have it on the March 21st meeting if you would like.
So we don't have enough time. How long do we have to have it in on?
And this 10 days. If you want to have it on March 21st, we have plenty of time.
Because the next notice date will be next Wednesday, not tomorrow.
Right.
Can't make tomorrow, you have to go.
They've already made
So you're already on the timeline.
So if you want to have it on March 21st?
I don't know I don't know what you folks heard, but Rodney says because we can't get it in the paper, because we're here on Tuesday, that we can't have the public hearing. At our next meeting, we'll have to have it at the meeting after that. Does everybody hear that? Nod your head if you do. Okay.
Yes.
Charles, do you want to make the motion to have it on the 21st?
Yes, I'll make that motion. And that,
Withdraw your motion, and the motion is for the 21st, and who seconded?
I'll second.
So now the motion is to have the public hearing for the law on the 21st of March. Is that the correct meeting? Okay. Any discussion on that? Bo, Charles,
yes,
Fran,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Laura.
No.
Ed, can you hear me?
Yes.
You voted yes?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. Okay, next. Create an employee benefit accrued liabilities reserve. Do people understand what this is?
So clarification on this, that is not the title of the reserve fund.
Okay,
It's a different reserve fund. I think Cindy and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy saw it was just created today, funded at some point in the future, had a tweak to it. So I would say, don't consider it today, pick it at the next meeting, no big harm.
Okay.
okay.
We'll just table it.
We're not tabling, we're just not doing anything. Real quick, without wasting a lot of time. When we've had a couple of employees leave, they have accrued a tremendous amount of vacation and other type, sick and other type of time. And if that gets to $50,000 or $100,000 and they suddenly leave for whatever reason, we don't have that budgeted $50,000 or $100,000. So we're talking about having a reserve that we build up to take care of that type of eventuality. That's the general tenor of it, which we will do next week or next night.
Okay, so we would make that a budgeted item.
So we're not doing that right now, I'm just explaining to you what we're talking about.
Gotcha.
Okay, moving along, grant award for the OPD. Apparently we probably didn't say that exactly correct when we accepted the $468,000 grant for the police station. So what is it we have to do to fix that?
I think what we did is either I signed it or the mayor signed it, they just wanted to switch it around. Because it's just the way they want.
Okay, so we have to do, just do the whole motion all over again because somebody signed it wrong. Okay, we did this before, we're gonna redo it and the correct people are gonna sign. Make a motion to.
Move to approve the resolution for the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, grant award of $468,416 in corrections.
Second,
I'll second it.
discussion. Yes. Vote, Charles,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Chair, yes. Minutes of 2/3/2002. Nora, we usually ask you all about these, but it's hard for us to hear from you right now unless you have some change or something in the minutes. If you don't have any change, good. Anybody else have any problems with the minutes? Motion to approve the minutes? Entertaining-
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second? Sorry, I interrupted you right in the middle
Okay.
for two, yeah. Unseconded. Anybody else with minute problem or correction? Vote. Charles,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Abstain, please.
Sting, Mayor,
Yes.
Karen, yes. Treasurer's report. You can either ask questions about it now or after we move it. Anybody have a question or problem with the treasurer's report? Brand, anything, because I know you've had some trouble before.
No, well, no, I'm pleased with the report for this month.
Yep, we'll talk about the other stuff. Anybody else? Mayor, you're okay with the treasurer's report?
Yeah, I had a couple of comments, but I'll work with the clerk. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Okay.
It's just, we need to do some adjusted budget stuff. The numbers work out.
Okay.
I sent an email to Cindy.
Okay. That being said, motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I move to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Second?
I'll second it.
Let it do.
Second.
Flip a coin.
I'm here when you're writing stuff down. Okay, vote Charles,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Chair, yes.
The mayor said if we mute when other people are talking, we might help to hear whoever was actually talking.
Did folks hear that? It's hard because we're going so fast here, but there was a suggestion from the mayor and Charles and
Yeah,
possibly.
if we mute here,
If we,
right, if we mute here, when other people talk, it might help you hear. Well, explain that.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to get a report from Laura, you guys could mute and you could hear her because I can hear her even through the interference.
okay.
Okay.
How can we do it every smart?
Yeah, just hit move down there.
Hey, Laura, start talking.
Talking. Howdy. Can you hear me?
That's clear as a bell.
Good hear you. Fairly clear too.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Apparently that's what we need to do when we want to hear Laura,
Outstanding.
which nobody said we did, but.
You're making Mike choke on his mouth.
So, the treasurer's report, the next year transfer. For $929.60 from insurance recovery line to OBD repair line.
Did we vote on that treasurer's report?
Yeah, that is in the treasurer.
I know, I don't know if we voted.
You did.
Yes, we did.
We did.
Raj says we did.
Okay. Never mind then.
A motion to transfer.
I move to approve the transfer of $929.60 from insurance recovery to OPD repairs.
Second,
I second it.
any discussion? Vote, Charles,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Luke, Laura,
Yes.
yes.
I say yes.
I think they're waiting for you, Ed.
Oh, yes. Yes, I didn't hear me being called.
We're playing with that big thing. Mayor?
And yes.
Yes. Okay. We're having fun. Pay applications for municipal building. Pay app for Delta for the municipal building, an amount of $8,787.50 to be approved. I so move.
Second.
Discussion? Vote, Charles,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Ethel,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. It's almost the last one.
Yeah, it's the last one, yes.
Yeah, let me
Wow.
get the keys.
I think we should have one more for like 12,000.
There's one more pay app?
Yeah, for the construction management.
I don't have it on anything here. Do you have it? Do you have it somewhere?
No, I'm saying that there's one more coming.
Oh, there's one coming. Okay.
We're almost to the end.
Okay. That's all the motions that we have on the agenda. Say again?
Hey, Rusty.
Yeah, Mike.
The chief just texted me back and said that it will not put him over the limit.
For the
So
waiver.
somehow, the way
Right.
so somehow potential 35,000 isn't too much.
Correct.
Okay. But taking the chief's word for it, and if it's not, it will get corrected by one way or another. Shall we take action on that now that we have done before? And I move that we increase the SRO Leslin's salary to $3,000.
I second.
Second?
Laura seconded.
Any more questions? Anything else on it? Okay, anybody else discussion? Charles?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
And yes. Thank you. Okay. Nothing else is on the printed agenda. Mike, is there anything else on the printed agenda that you have or unprinted?
Well, unprinted, I'd like to ask for an executive session regarding the hiring of an employee.
Okay, want to do it on the line? Or just, it's hard for us to do it online, but.
Nate's gonna call me on the phone, I think. And I think
Well, then we need to call.
Ed and Laura too, yeah.
And then can I add to that executive session for further personnel concerns?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't, Nate, can we call 4 people?
So,
I think my phone can conference 2 people.
Do we have someone else there who can conference others?
Yeah.
And put them all on speaker?
We'll put the phones close to each other.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, my phone does everything.
Just make sure you guys mute there when we do
I got a motion by the mayor, second by Brian. Executive session, personnel, issues.
Okay, so. But what I just said, motion by the mayor, second by Ron for a executive session for the 2 items you just mentioned.
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
and Chair, no. Okay, anything else, Mike? On that front? I'll go to
No.
trustee reports next if you don't.
I got one thing.
No, you can speak in a minute, I'm still talking on mic.
He's got a mouth.
Okay. Rodney, what you got?
Status of the election, we had that one party put in a petition for the upcoming election. Nobody's running against it. They brought in petition for 158 signatures. And today we saw the 86 absentee ballots that were certified by the county. That's the ones we have to send out. So it's in the mail. That's your update on that.
Everybody got that? Is that something that we want to tell the public who is doing it, who's on there?
Sure. The mayor's running Fran.
Charles?
Charles,
And
Ed, myself, and the judge.
all the incumbents are the only ones that have filed a petition.
I oppose it.
Okay, thank you. Trustee reports, Charles.
Nothing but needs to be adjusted, executive.
Yeah, in regard to the EMS department. Currently, Sonia her pay rate is $24 per hour. And we are offering part-time people $25 per hour. So we're requesting that we increase Sonia's pay to $26 per hour.
That
Yes,
seems
that's a
reasonable.
motion.
I would make that motion.
You're going to second Fran's motion.
Yeah,
I
yes.
assume your body can sustain this.
Yes, very good. Discussion, yeah, like Fran's. Says budgetary, it's in the budget. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Charles?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Mayor?
And Rusty, I don't know if you asked if it was in the budget or not, but EMS is doing very well.
I'm sorry?
EMS is doing very well.
They're And I did ask about that, I don't know if you heard or not, but he did ask, and it was said that it's certainly within that.
The income is well above.
Okay,
Yeah, so I vote yes.
thank you, Mike. You vote yes, and I vote yes. Further, Fran, respond to your report.
Okay, as far as the Evergreen Cemetery Committee, back on February 11th, Candy Saratani and I met with Rod Marchuka, and we discussed the 3 accounts for the cemetery. Currently, we have perpetual care account, which is a managed investment account. We have the Evergreen, well, it says Evergreen Cemetery CD, which it's not a CD, it's actually another managed investment account for funds for the cemetery. And we have another account, which is called Evergreen, or Reserve Evergreen Capital Improvements, which is actually a checking account of around $35. So, I mean, I don't know if this has to be voted on, but what the 3 of us agreed to is take that checking account of 35,000 to the other managed,
Sorry, just quick, I thought it was $35.
35,000.
$35,000, okay.
Okay, it's in a checking account. And take that, it says Evergreen Cemetery CD of $76,377. Combine those together into the managed investment fund, instead of having 35,000 sitting there in a checking account. Combine those 2 together. And also there is another $5,000 that's in the general fund that was given from, donated from someone's trust in September. Okay, so take those 3 sums and create, we would just call the Reserve Evergreen Capital Improvement. Okay. So in other words, we're taking $35,837.60 and $5,000 plus another 70, well, it's actually $75,695.88. Combine those 3 together into what we would call the Reserve Evergreen Capital Improvement Fund.
One question I would have is there a reason they were in separate accounts to start with? Is there any reason why we can't combine them, or?
I got a call to the company, so there's definitely sort of, you know, the time.
Yeah, because I mean, we've had that 35,875 is the current amount,
Right.
sitting in a checking account that has not been utilized in any
That's
way.
perfectly fine.
It's not-
Legally.
Yeah.
No. So your first question is whether they can legally be moved?
Right, that they can be combined. Listen, I don't know why they were created in separate accounts in the first place. I just want to make sure we're not overstepping our boundaries to put them in one.
So Nate, of course, is,
I will always advise you to check with your accountant and or the comptroller's office about use of funds and movement of funds from one account to the other.
and of course, as soon as we use the reserve, we have more rules.
There are potentially more rules related to its designation as a reserve fund.
And we're gonna use the word reserve in this new, which is also creates rules.
If it's a reserve fund, then it should be established as an actual reserve fund, not just thrown 2 words.
The reserve on the bottom.
So I don't think we want to reserve, we want to use this money.
Yeah, we want that particular fund to be used for actual work in the Evergreen Cemetery.
Because it's Evergreen Cemetery, we got let's just say 75,000. That's left over from 150,000 we started with about a year or so. So,
Yeah, so reserve funds aren't meant to cover everyday
No.
expenses.
right.
All right, so would we name an evergreen capital improvement?
Well, that sounds a lot like a
Well,
reserve
well,
fund.
so Nate, you and I have done some research on this, or I've done some research, and you and I have discussed it. New York state law requires that endowed cemeteries have a permanent fund and a maintenance fund. And while we're not subject to those laws, we still feel that we should be following that guidance. So I think we'd want to look at this and just make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I can't say with certainty based on what Fran has said, because I'm not following along exactly whether Fran, what you're proposing matches.
Right.
What.
Right.
And that's
Right.
Well, we would still leave the evergreen perpetual care fund as a separate account. That is for future.
So
Is that one
Fran,
of those three numbers? Is that one of those three numbers, the one you just said?
No.
Okay.
So Fran, I think what would be helpful is, you have good questions about why money is sitting in a particular account. We're not going to be able to answer or solve these questions right now. I think
Okay.
what should happen is a conversation with Rod and
We've got a meeting.
framing it to me. I know Ed's input on this is really helpful as well.
Okay, so bring it up at a future meeting.
Well, yes, but background work to get the answers so that when it's asked of the board to take some action, a full explanation can be provided to the board instead of posing questions to the board, which the board doesn't know the answers to.
I do have a quick question. What was the first figure, the 35,000? Can you read that figure out for me?
Okay, well, there's on the
35,000.
bank statement here, what we currently call the Reserve Evergreen Capital Improvement Fund. The current balance in that is $35,876.51.
That's the one. Thank you. So just the last piece on this, we're going to move along on this, is that it sounds like, yes, I see that there's three different figures here and three different things, but it sounds like the important part is that we not have a $35,000 sitting in a checking account and it doesn't bring any interest. That's the important.
Make it
Whether or not,
sense.
however we put them all together or whatever we do, that's the piece that we were trying to solve.
Right.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, it seems
All right,
like
so
Fran's
we'll-
intent is the right thing. We shouldn't have stuff sitting in, small accounts earning no interest.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so okay. So, yeah, that's all for tonight.
Ron?
I sat in numerous interviews for different positions, and I did want to ask about central ag between Temple and Major. I noticed those RSS vehicles, some of them had not moved throughout the whole snowstorm. They were still plowed in as of last week. I know we have a 96-hour rule. I really think we need to get on them not parking fleet vehicles there. I mean, a couple of those vans had not moved. They were plowed in for more than 96 hours. I had to be looking at season. We're not a parking lot for these different entities.
Mike, as Roger, could you talk to you more than once about this kind of thing?
Yeah.
You've spoken to me about it before.
And OPD has done some of that ticketing and moving for other areas of the village.
I mean, it has no effect on me personally. I just noticed that after 3 weeks, they're still plowed in, and that's a little excessive.
Yeah, it becomes pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
So
no brainer.
we have had some complaints about that already, about the parking on that street, the tenants and others not being able to park, and about this particular, about anybody, but especially in particular these commercial vehicles being parked there. So
I don't know what the next step would be, whether we
Put a notice on the vehicles.
To the police department.
Yeah, I know in other spots of the village, we've worked with OPD. they get them moved or towed or whatever they do.
And we'll want to go pocket or hardly going to be even bigger commodity than it is now.
Mike, do you want me to speak to the police chief about this? You're the mayor, do you want
Yeah, either
to do
one.
anything about this? Yeah, either one. I'm gonna probably talk to him as well. I think he's gonna tell me if you'd like, I'll be happy to speak to him about that.
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
That's all I got.
Laura?
Would you guys be able to mute your end so I can give my report without the echo? Sweet, thank you. Okay, so on February 15th, I attended a meeting that included Mick Knapp, who's our code enforcement officer, Meg Gilbert from down there, the secretary, Joanne Lindstrom from the town of Owego, Nadine Bigsby, Jim Overheiser from OHPC, and Julie Nucci. And we were talking about the HMPG grant. It's a federal grant. So the town of Owego is applying for this to use for money to knock down houses and buy some generators. And so we could sort of team up and send in an application at the same time. And we were sort of looking around to what is in our capabilities for this. So it's like our office can't handle an elevation currently, but we could do one of the what's the word? RAS a property. And so we're looking at one property to that's to see if the owner would do a buyout, and that this program would pay for 75% of that cost. And then also another thing we're looking into is, say if we had a group of very interested people on a list who were going to elevate their utilities up out of the zone, out of their basements and up into the first floor for flood mitigation things, that if there was a package of people that potentially that this could pay for 75% of those costs for people to help their for long-term planning of flood mitigation efforts. And so we can have help in the grant writing for the homeowner sort of housing stuff. But what we really could use is some generators. But we don't have anybody to write the grant. Can we, like, I know Tracy's on vacation and the grant's due in April, but like if there's some old paperwork or something, I could come and help. But I think we need a generator for the DPW, and I still believe the sewage treatment plant needed a backup generator. And so Tracy's on vacation, and I don't know, like, if we can manage to do this, but there's a big pot of money just for these purposes that we'd have to apply for this by April. And I don't know if we can scramble to do it, just because like we don't have anybody in the offices currently. Okay, and then another thing before I turn it back over, there's 2 meetings coming up. On March 1st, Tuesday, 7 p.m. is the next planning board meeting. They will cover the Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services application for the Temple and Liberty Street housing complexes. And on March 3rd, Thursday, 7 p.m. is the next OHPC meeting. I'm not sure what's on that agenda. And that is the end of my report.
The location of those meetings,
The DPW room.
Thank you. Mike, are you familiar with the town, with that grant from the town?
I've got a bunch of emails on it, but not really.
So there was some talk from Laura talking with me and other things that the town might be willing to include us in some of their grant application for this, but there seemed to be some discussion about whether that could be done, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what Laura has heard anything more about that, but I heard that that was in the potential works.
Okay, I can look into that too.
Laura, and then we're going to listen to you about whether you know anything more about that, them being able to include us.
Well, they would include us if we were doing, like, they can easily include us if we're doing the housing or like anything related to like condemning a house and like knocking it over and that end of it. But for us to do generator related stuff, we have to do that work. There's no free grant writing for that.
wasn't there discussion last meeting, the mayor said that the county wanted us to pitch in with the demolition of a house on
Yeah,
Fox Street?
that's a whole different issue than this. We can get that.
That's a housing removal?
Yeah.
So that's an issue on this particular grant through the town.
Well, it may apply. That's the demolition of the house on Fox Street.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that housing removal, if we apply for that grant, that would cover anything that the village would be responsible for, removing that particular house.
I think, I'm not sure about this, I'm just gonna give you my, but I don't know anything about this. My general take on this was that the particular grant is for an individual to do something with their home. If we want to do something municipal wise, that's a whole different ballgame. And this doing, removing the house here by the village is a municipal thing different.
That's right. This is for people who own property, not banks and not landlords.
Yeah, that property that they're talking about is owned by the county, so.
All right, thank you.
That's why I'm saying it's a different.
Jimmy Nucci came into my shop last week with Tracy was there before he went on vacation, and we do have a generator that is supposed to be being paid for by the grant for the project. He wasn't sure if we'd be able to claim the other section of that money that we would still owe for this grant. And although that was one of his concerns.
So there's some paperwork. So Ron, you and I, maybe can we talk about this and try to get something for the generators? Just see what we can do, and we'll talk later about it, maybe? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I'm saving the village money.
Yeah.
Grant money, we can get it. Hooray.
So this is not unimportant. This is important. Because of our communication ability right now, this is very difficult for us to get our hands on any of this. There's time limits on this because this grant has to be in by the 1st. So the deal is still to be speaking with the town. Is there ways that we can do anything with the town or not? The next deal is if somebody wants a personal grant on their property, that has to be done in a particular way. And if we want to write something for the village, if we can even write something for the village for generators and stuff, that, we need to know the way that needs to be done. And we don't have, I'm just saying, we don't have any of that right here, right now. The points have been brought up, but we have nowhere else to go at this moment. Other than offline, trying to be sniffing at it and working towards it.
Yeah, more details.
Okay, then we're gonna move along because we can't fix any of that right this time. Sorry. Laura, anything more?
No, that's it.
Ed, trustee report?
Yeah, I don't have anything this month or this meeting.
Thank you. I have nothing. Which leads us to communications, Mr. Mayor, anything?
Yeah, you guys want to mute there quick? Then I'll give you a hand signal. All right. So I don't have much. The only communication I have is just today, we got a bunch of boxes of COVID tests that are free to hand out at OPD. Just walk in and get some and maybe test positive like me. So back to you guys. Although I guess
You can win the lottery, right?
yeah. The next thing is mayor's report. I don't have a ton. Been busy doing all kinds of stuff, including getting COVID. So no real report. I know we're still union negotiations, interviewing for DPW, all that kind of good stuff. Still filling in there and keeping the guys going and keeping the roads plowed and all that kind of stuff. So I'm good.
Okay, we should be off mute now. Mayor, do you know how many tests we got?
I think at least 3 cases, which was like hundreds.
How many?
3 cases, which is like what?
Like 800 tests.
Because I hope that we've decided on this already, because you have to do it. Have we limited the number of tests we'll give to a human being at the OPD? Because we certainly need to.
Not yet.
First guy in about 600.
We can get
Okay,
more
so
tests.
we
The
got-
county has a whole bunch. So
But we limit the amount, we really do need to limit the number of tests you can take.
But yeah.
And sanitize the vehicle.
I mean, if the police chief is arguably hanging on for PD, delegate or designate the police chief to set a reasonable limit on the number of tests. And I think that's something that the mayor can just say to the chief.
Yeah, I know they
Yeah,
did
Mike,
masks like that
that's certainly
too.
your authority, Mike. That's your authority, Mike, but I'm just recommending it because I say human nature says that first guy in the door is going to want enough of them the last 3 months, one day. Yeah, I've seen it already. Yeah, okay. All right. So that's the mayor's report. If it's all right with everyone, this may be a longer executive session than we thought. Dimmy, we're going to do public comment now, and then we're going to throw everybody out and expect it'll be.
My only thing is, I asked a while ago about the Page Street one way. Have you guys had any discussion on that?
The some of the traffic committee has talked about that and looked at it a little bit. We haven't go on.
Put it turning Page Street into a one-way street,
One way from Fox to front.
going in the same direction where it jumps over to the old Main Street to, because that's
South, right over across Main Street, right to Front Street.
So you can change that other one-way
Change the other
section.
direction from front to Main, going the other direction.
Mr. Carney has recommended all of Page go south. That's what I thought.
From Fox Street, from Fox Street to front.
All of Page to go
Goes
south.
towards front. Because you already have Spencer Avenue going in the other direction.
right. How would I get home?
Okay.
You'd have to get down Spencer Avenue, take a pull and cut over.
We're not We're not gonna have a big interior discussion with Mr. Barr on this right now. The traffic committee has looked at it some, we're gonna look at some more. We haven't just thrown it away, but we don't have anything for you yet. Sorry. Yes, I have. I want you to be happy.
And the public comment doesn't include me as well.
It's a member of the public.
Just so you know, the school's already been handing out a lot of those COVID tests, and they're well overstocked to be able to set them up.
Good.
And my biggest thing is, despite what the courier reported, which caused me a lot of grief, I am now the captain of the Candor Emergency Squad. Okay. So somewhere along the line, she got that from the minutes and notes from last month. So I am not. So it's fun.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session.
Hey, guys, just mute the microphone there, Nate. And if you want, you can turn off the camera too. It's just a button next to it.
You're not recording, right?
Do you guys, yeah. Oh, let me stop.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we're back in regular session.
Okay, we're in regular session. We have a motion.
9:50.
Mike, did you say something?
I just said the time because Rodney's going to want to know.
Okay, okay.
I just make the motion and you read it. Okay. The motion you are about to hear that Nate is going to read is the motion I'm making.
So this is a motion to hire, what's his name again?
Fred Albert.
Fred Albrecht as the provisional Department of Public Works Superintendent, a salary of $65,000, benefits in accordance with CSDA contract, except that during the first year, 120 hours of vacation time shall accrue as follows: 40 years on hire, and 40 more years after the
Hours.
40 hours. 40 hours.
We're so close, Fred.
40 hours on hire, 40 more hours after the 4-month anniversary, and 40 additional hours after the 8-month anniversary, and thereafter, on the 1-year anniversary, he shall be entitled to take not more than 120 hours per year until such time as his years of service entitle him to additional vacation time according to the CSDA contract, and his comp time to be capped at a maximum of 80 hours.
Second,
What he said.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. Charles?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Chair, yes.
So it was written, so it shall be done.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make it here.
Yes.
Hearing no objection, we have adjourned.
Thank you, guys. Hey, lady.
Done hearing.
All right, thanks, guys. So